This is Shelley Kraft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Bio CEO and Investor Conference 2018 in New York City. I have with me Joseph Bassaganya-Riera from Landos Biopharma. It's a private company. Welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you, Shelley, for having me on. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
It's good to have you too. Let's get started with an overview of the company, and then we'll go from there.
So Landos Biopharma is an emerging biotech company that develops oral first-in-class therapeutics for autoimmune diseases.
Okay. So what's the history behind the company?
The history goes back to the development of natural compounds that allowed us to discover a new pathway called lanthionine synthetase like-2 pathway. It's a pathway that exerts potent anti-inflammatory effects in the context of Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. Those natural compounds allowed us to develop a medicinal chemistry pipeline, including about 3 billion new chemical entities that eventually led to the development of our lead asset for IBD, BT11. BT11 is a first-in-class oral therapeutic that acts locally in the gastrointestinal tract. We have high hopes. In fact, we are going to advance BT11 to IND filing later this year, in May to be precise, and we are going to initiate phase 1 clinical testing for BT11 in the context of IBD.
Where is the science from? Where was it developed?
No, that's a great question. I'm a serial entrepreneur, so I've created 3 companies. The original science that Landos has acquired was developed in another company called Biotherapeutics. Biotherapeutics had 3 pillars: nutritionals, informatics, and therapeutics. Basically, the underlying computational capabilities of biotherapeutics have allowed us to accelerate the development of nutritional products as well as therapeutics. The entire therapeutics arm of biotherapeutics is now under Landos Biopharma.
What are the targeted indications?
The targeted indications for our lead asset are Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Those are the 2 primary clinical manifestations of inflammatory bowel disease, and they target about 5 million people worldwide, 2 million people in the US.
And let's discuss clinical trials. What's going on?
We are about to file 2 INDs. An IND for BT11 for Crohn's disease and an IND for ulcerative colitis. This will happen around May, and in June we'll be starting a phase 1 single ascending dose clinical trial with normal healthy volunteers. And after that we'll start a multiple ascending dose clinical trial. We anticipate that we'll have the final report for these studies around December of 2018.
Where is the company located?
The company is located in Blacksburg, Virginia.
And do you have any affiliations with any particular universities?
Yes, I've been involved with activities at the Biocomplexity Institute at Virginia Tech. The initial research that had to do with nutritionals started at Virginia Tech, and eventually it was moved to biotherapeutics, and now the therapeutics pipeline is in Landos.
What is the current standard of care, and what's the difference between what you are developing and the standard of care?
That's a great question, and I believe that this question helps articulate the need for a company that is bold and decisive as Landos Biopharma. Standard of care is involving biologics, particularly TNF-alpha blockers. And those drugs cost about 45 to 50K per patient per year. They have efficacy in about 30 to 40% of patients, and their side effects listed in the bottle include cancer, infection, and death. In addition, they require injections. So the standard of care clearly tells us that there's an unmet clinical need. And Landos is poised to address this unmet clinical need through development of oral therapeutics, such as BT11, that will act locally in the gastrointestinal tract and will not require going to the hospital for infusions. Also, the side effect profile is going to be very benign. We've tested doses up to 1,000 milligrams per kilo, and we found that BT11 is completely safe.
What's your background?
My background is in immunology. I've been leading large research programs related to mucosal immunology at Virginia Tech, funded by the National Institutes of Health companies, and also funded by the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. That basic research that has been conducted at Virginia Tech made me realize that it's not only important to understand the underlying mechanisms of the immune system, but actually utilize our knowledge of how those mechanisms work to develop ways, effective and safer ways to manipulate the immune system. And that resonates in the context of infectious diseases, autoimmune diseases, and that's why I've created 3 companies, including Landos Biopharma.
Joseph, do you have any other news you'd like to share?
Yes, absolutely. We recently closed a round of $10 million with Perceptive Advisors. And this round will allow us to finalize IND-enabling studies for BT11, our lead asset, and advance this asset to phase 1 clinical testing.
Let's give your website out for more information, if you would.
The website is www.landosbiopharma.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Bassaganya-Riera from Landos Biopharma, a private company. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you from the Bio CEO and Investor Conference 2018 here in New York City. Let me thank you for coming on to SNNLive.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.